This is Chapter 4, Lesson 5, Add and Subtract Mixed Numbers. So when I add and subtract mixed numbers, I first add or subtract the blank. So you're going to say fractions in the first blank. If necessary, rename them using the LCD. Then I add or subtract the blank numbers and blank if necessary. So in those two blanks, you're going to write whole and simplify. So if necessary, rename them using the LCD, then add or subtract the whole numbers and simplify if necessary. Sometimes when you subtract mixed numbers, the fraction in the first mixed number is less than the fraction in the second mixed number. In this case, I have to rename one or both fractions in order to subtract. So let's take a look at some examples. So the first example I have is find 8 and 5/6 minus 2 1/3, right, in simplest form. So I can estimate 8 and 5/6 is close to 9, 2 1/3 is close to 2, so 9 minus 2 will give me 7. So it should be somewhere around 7, okay? So 8 and 5/6 I can leave because 3 and 6, my LCD is going to be 6. 2 1/3 I'm going to change. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. 1 times 2 gives me 2. My whole number stays the same. So now I have 8 and 5/6 minus 2 and 2/6. So I subtract my fractions first. 5 minus 2 gives me 3. Then I subtract my whole numbers. 8 minus 2 gives me 6. So I have 6 and 3/6, which simplifies to 6 1/2. Okay. Example number 2 says find 2 1/3 minus 1 2/3. Okay, so when I do this, another way of doing this is actually changing it so that they are improper fractions. So 2 1/3 minus 1 2/3, I can estimate, say 1 or 2 minus 1 1/2, which gives me close to 1/2. So 2 1/3 I can change to an improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7, so I get 7/3. 1 2/3 becomes 5/3, and then I can subtract. 7 minus 5 gives me 2. My denominator stays the same, so 2/3 is my final answer. So there are a couple of try-it problems. Go ahead, try them out. When you are done, we will go over the answers together. All right, now that you've tried out the try-it problems, let's go over the answers together. The first one says find 6 1/8 plus 2 5/8, right in simplest form. Notice that there is a common denominator, so I don't have to do anything with that. So I'm going to add my fractions. 1/8 plus 5/8 is 6/8, which I can simplify by dividing both of these by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Then I add my whole numbers. 6 plus 2 is 8. So my final answer is 8 3/4. So when I add 6 1/8 plus 2 5/8, I get 8 3/4. Okay. My second try-it problem says find 5 3/8 minus 4 11/12, right in simplest form. My LCD is going to be 24. So 5 3/8, I had to multiply this by 3. is 5 and 9 24ths. Multiply this by 2, so I get 4 and 22 24ths. Now I can subtract. Notice 9 and 22, I can't actually subtract them. So I can do one of two things. I can change them so they're improper fractions, or I can borrow. Let's go ahead and change them so they're improper fractions. So 5 and 9 24ths. 24 times 5 gives me 120, plus 9 is 129. So 129 24ths. Okay, and then 4 and 22 24ths. 24 times 4 is 96, plus 22 is 118 over 24. So now I have 129 24ths minus 118 24ths. 129 minus 118 equals 11. My denominator stays the same, so 11 24ths. So 5 and 3/8 minus 4 and 11 12ths is 11 24ths. And that is the end of lesson 5.